Good morning. So, the issues given to us is internal combustion engines will be replaced by non-fossil fuel power drive. So, we are asked to discuss the various options in the near future vehicles that are currently in use or being developed. So, today, the title for our presentation is Fossil Fuel Alternatives, and my name is Lim Hong Jian. So, my group members are Shen Hua Lim, Nursyauqi, Syahmi, and Ming Jie Tan, and we are from Group 3. So these are the topics that we are going to cover in this presentation. So firstly, we are going to introduce our project. Then we will have a problem statement with fossil fuels. Then for number 3, we have fuel alternatives. We have 4 fuel alternatives in this presentation. And lastly, we will have a conclusion.
Hi, my name is Syahmi, so I will continue with introduction. So this is the definition of internal combustion engine and non-fossil fuel. So first, I will explain about internal combustion engine. Basically, internal combustion engine is a heat engine in which a fuel is burned in a combustion chamber that is part of working flow circuit with an oxidizer. The expansion of the high temperature and high pressure gases produced by combustion acts directly on a component of internal combustion engine. So basically, internal combustion engine is an engine that normally in the vehicle or in the lorry or something else that use a normal fuel that will emit carbon dioxide to its surrounding. So basically, it will cause air pollution to our surrounding. So next is non-fossil fuel. In the text of addressing global climate concerns, non-fossil fuels are gaining popularity. The goal of this article is to assess trend in global non-fossil fuel consumption, proportion of fuel consumption, and equality based on a review of non-fossil fuel consumption in significant nations globally from 1985 to 2015. So there were countries that will ban fuel car, such as UK will ban fuel car on 2030, and Norway will ban fuel car on 2025. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Shen Hua, and I'll continue with the problem of internal combustion engine. So first, it has expensive fuel costs because it uses gasoline or diesel as fuel, which is very expensive. And second, the engine requires some accessory because the engine will produce excess heat and needs some accessory like fans to cool the engine down before it overheat. And it also lead to high maintenance costs because the engine have complex parts and prone to mechanical failures, including the accessory like I mentioned before. And it requires constant fuel change because the combustion for the engine will foul the oil and may cause the engine to break down in the future. And lastly, it has high engine emission. The combustion from the engine will produce gases which can cause pollution to the environment. And that's for my part. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Syahmi, and I'm going to present the fuel alternatives. So the first alternative that we have here is an electrical car. So basically how it works is that electrical energy is converted into mechanical energy using electrical motor, and then the motion is directly sent to the wheels instead of having a gear. Hence, it has a high acceleration as no mechanical losses are happening. And then how it works actually is that we have a battery pack, and then the battery pack have direct current which is converted to alternating current using inverter. So why we need to convert to alternating current? Because as we have learned, when alternating current is supplied to the electrical motor with changing directions, so the polarity changes. So when the polarity changes, basically the center magnetic coil will turn into one direction, so we have generated motion, and that is actually what turns the wheels. Okay, so the first advantage of the electric car is we have zero emission, because basically for an electric car to work, it converts all the energy either into heat and also directly into motion. So no emission are produced, and then it is also low maintenance because we don't have to do any oil changes. There are no gears to change oil, and power is directly sent to wheels. And then the third one is it has a long battery cycle. So for example, the Tesla Model 3 here that I have, which costs 40,000 USD, it retains 80% battery capacity over 480,000 kilometers. So compared to conventional cars, they would usually be phased out maybe around 200,000 kilometers, and then they would start to have higher maintenance costs. But the Tesla Model 3 here, it can last until 500,000 kilometers. So it's has a higher lifespan compared to conventional cars. Alright, so the disadvantages of this car is the first one, it has a long charging time. Because like conventional cars, you just plug point and then you fill your fuel and then you're good to go. But like electric cars, you need to wait for your car to charge lah. And it takes around 30 hours if you use a conventional 240 volt home plug. But if you use a regular Tesla charger, it takes around 6 hours. But you also have like a supercharger Tesla facility, but it's not that many lah around US. It takes around 2 hours, I'm thinking, right? And then unclean electric source. So because we charge these cars using electric, so the electric comes from the grid network, and then the electric source that goes into the grid network may come from fossil burning power plants. So essentially, you're using a fossil to produce electricity that will power your car. So it is indirectly using fossil power, right? So that's the problem of electric car. Alright, moving on to hydrogen car. So hydrogen car works by having a hydrogen fuel and oxygen, which are combined in a fuel cell, and then it produces electron flow. And then as we know, when there is a movement of electron flow, we have electricity, and this is what charges up the battery pack. So the battery pack then supplies electricity to the electrical motor, which in turn converts electric motor to mechanical energy. So basically, it's just like an electrical car, but to charge up the battery pack, it uses chemical reaction between oxygen and hydrogen to produce electrons, and then this movement of electrons will charge up the battery pack. So in a way, that's how a hydrogen car actually works. Alright. So the benefits of a hydrogen car is first, it only has water vapor emission, because the outcome of the chemical reaction between hydrogen and also oxygen, it produces water and electron movement. So it's safe and non-polluting. And then we also have high tax rebates. For example here, because there are not many hydrogen cars actually in the world. And for example, the Toyota Mirai here, it's only marketed in the United States. And even though the cost is higher, 58,000 compared to Tesla cars, which cost around 40,000, you can get up to 20,000 USD tax rebates from the government. That's the government initiative to increase the users of these Toyota Mirais inside US. Okay, and it also has a fast refueling compared to electrical cars, which you have to wait to charge your car. You can fill the hydrogen tank just like conventional cars. Okay, so the disadvantage of hydrogen cars, first we have a high carbon footprint. So basically, more energy are used to produce hydrogen fuel. Just like the case of electrical car before this, you may use more fossil fuel power to produce hydrogen fuel. So you are indirectly using more energy to power up your car. So moving on to the next one is we have less refueling stations. For example, in the US, in state of California only, they have like a network of hydrogen fueling centers. Why? Because these hydrogen fueling centers, they are complex and expensive due to the high pressure H2 storage, the hydrogen storage, because it needs a higher maintenance compared to electrical fuel centers lah. So that's all. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ming Jie, and I'll be explaining the remaining two alternatives to powered vehicle. So the third one is the solar powered vehicle. A solar powered vehicle, as the name suggests, uses sunlight to power vehicles. However, none of the vehicle has been designed to purely supported by solar energy alone. A solar car implements solar panel, which made out of multiple photovoltaic cells that are linked together, which allows photons to excite electrons, leading to the generation of electricity, which is used to power the solar cars. The electricity generated that used to power the solar car works in the similar manner of a electric powered vehicle. For a solar powered vehicle, why it is advantageous over traditional fossil fuel powered car? So first of all, the solar powered vehicle is eco-friendly and quiet. There will be no noise emission and there will be less waste generated. So a solar car has also greater energy availability. This is because it is less dependent on fossil fuels and natural gas, since it uses sunlight to power to generate electricity. As we know, sunlight is a renewable energy source, and therefore a solar powered car can obtain nearly infinite electricity. So for a solar powered vehicle, it has a higher speed in compared with traditional vehicle, since it is made in aluminium and other lightweight materials. So why solar powered vehicles is less popular if compared with a traditional fossil fuel powered vehicle? The first thing is that the design issue of a solar powered car. A solar powered car requires space for a solar panel, and lightweight is much more important for a solar powered vehicle, and therefore some spaces will be sacrificed and some equipment and the spaces for passengers will be sacrificed, and the safety features may not be taken into consideration due to all these factors, right? So for a solar powered vehicle, it is also having a high cost due to it is expensive to buy, especially for the making of solar panel and implementation of solar panel, and it will be quite expensive to be maintained as well. And the last alternative that we are going to introduce to you is the biodiesel. So a biodiesel is produced from waste vegetable oils or animal fats. However, like solar powered vehicle, most engine cannot run on pure biodiesel and therefore requires it to be blended with diesel fuel. So the components of the diesel engine is expected to interact with the diesel fuel with highest efficiency as possible. If an out of specification fuel is introduced, for example a biodiesel, the integrity of the system may be compromised, and therefore only some of the biodiesel is blended with diesel in a diesel engine system. So for a biodiesel, it is advantageous because of its renewable energy source, which is produced from vegetables and animal fats, and it will emit less greenhouse gases, as biodiesel produces less carbon output and less toxic than petroleum diesel. It also improves diesel engine performance as it assists in engine lubrication and increase the engine life. However, biodiesel can be quite disadvantageous in terms of its unstable quality. Different type of crops used will be resulting in the variation of different power producing ability, and besides, biodiesel is not suitable to be used in low temperature, as biodiesel can form gel in cold environments.
As a conclusion, internal combustion engine has a few disadvantages, which is expensive as it needs fuel, accessories and maintenance costs. Also, it will produce greenhouse gases which will pollute the environment. Hence, to overcome these problems, non-fossil fuels alternatives are proposed, which are electric car, hydrogen car, solar powered vehicles and biodiesel vehicles. That's all for our presentation. Thank you for watching our video.